I'm okay with any of them. So last week, last week, whilst we were studying, whilst we were learning together, we dealt with variables and how to name a variable and how to assign a value to it. We also touch a little of a conditional statement using the if statement. I think yes, we dealt with the data types, the floats, the strings, and then what's the other one? The boolean. How to convert from float to string or from string to int without with that one. There's something I remembered I didn't touch on, though we can tackle it at any time. But we have this kind of methods. You call them. Let's say that you are writing a program. Do you want the user to enter something for you? But you have written your program. You know that if the user enters anything at all, it can generate an error and it can crash your program. You expect only capital letters, but you don't control what the user types. The user can type only small letters or capitalize the initial letter or even mix caps and then upper and lower cases. So in that case, we have title, sorry, we also have the lower and the upper. These methods, you use this one. When you use this one, it can easily or it will easily solve your problem for you. I'm not sure whether we used this the other day, but let's say that you said the user should enter a name of an item and you have written your code that the name is orange. If it's not orange, with the first letter capitalized, you should give an error. So let's say fruits, then the int, you remember the int, the input, you enter the name of the fruit. This is what you are asking the user to enter, or a teller, or whoever is at the shop, who is the shop attendant, to enter fruit. And you say that the fruit, if fruit is equal to, sorry, orange, then you print and tell them, let me use the pseudocode. Then we have it's else we don't have it. Now this code, look at this, orange. The user, you are not going to you can't control, even if you tell the person to enter in caps or capitalize the first letter, they will decide what to do. So what you do is that in this case, you leave it open. the customer comes, or the shop attendant, someone comes, want to buy fruit, you want to check, do you have it in stock? Do you have a fruit called orange? Yes. Enters it, and then the system says we don't have it. Meanwhile, you have it in the system, but this thing is giving an error. So in that case, what you do is that you use any of this to make the thing very simple. Control the code and leave the rest for the users so that your system do not crash. In that case, you can say that, oh, fruit. Sometimes someone can even put capitalize over here. Let me say fruit equals to fruit title. Now, then you put your statement over here. This is your indented block. This is where you have to put your statement. So you use your print, and we also spoke about using either the single quote or the double quote. You stick to one, adapt to one, and stick to it for your entire programming. And you should also know as and when to use it. So we have oranges. Then this code will not run. Now look at this one. I have to bring the apostrophe comma over here, so I can't use the single one, so I have to use the double. So if I should run this code, run, where is it? Run. Why is it giving me error? Is my title correct, or have I made a mistake? Is that the spell title? One can try me. No.
I think if you not defining the orange, whether there are oranges or not, so that's why maybe doing that. If not doing any right, you must take your fruits.
No, that's not the issue. It is telling me that this, look at here. It says the error name title is not defined. Anyway, the other time I told you, you don't keep everything in head. Just use Google. Let me see something. Let me see something. Oh no. Let me see something first. I don't know if it's a spelling of my title or still giving me the same error. It shouldn't be. Let me see something. No, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Let's check here and see what's here. Oh my goodness. Look at here. See this place. I'm sure this is the this is so I forgot to delete those things or even comment it. So that was the problem. That was the problem. So orange. So now look at what happens. The lower, what happens is the lower makes everything you type, it converts it to lower cases. If you use the upper will convert it to upper cases. When you use the title will convert it to the first letter to an uppercase. So now when the system took this a check, it sees that it's lower cases. Now when it comes here, it compares that one to this one. They are not the same. What we'll do is reject it. So this condition, if it is orange, we have it. But in this case, it is not. So what will happen? We reject it and say that we don't have oranges. That is why we are having this. So I forgot to delete or even comment those things that I wrote initially. These ones. If I had even commented it, yes. So now let's use our title and run this code. We don't care about, we as the user, we don't care. We are just entering it. So yes, we have it. It says we have it. So you have to control the code for the users. The users don't care. All they know is enter, they enter. If we use, so let's see the uppercase. With the upper, we use this one and run it and see. It still tells you that we don't have it. So in that case, you come in orange. It says that we have oranges because it takes whatever you type. It doesn't care whatever the user types. It just takes it and then will convert it. It does the conversion over here, then give it to this one. So this is one of a very, very effective way to control what the users type into your system. Are we good to go? Any question? Okay. Now, the other time someone spoke of the errors. Let's look at one of the simplest errors that we do make. Let's look at it, which is the syntax error. Sometimes when you are writing, when you are coding, especially when you are coding in C, by the time you're like bang, and your speaker will sound, you check and they say syntax error or compiler error or compile error. What happens in these is that now look at this word fruit. You define the variable fruit and you are saying that is the name of your variable. When you come here, instead of the fruit, you come and enter fruity, or let's say you come and define something like this. This one is going to give us an error and it will give us a traceback to orange. Now, when you are coding in Python and you get an error, look at the last word, the last line, the last line. It very often tells you where, or it helps to identify what kind of or where your error is. Now it's telling you that name error fruit is not defined. So you go and look at your code and ask, fruit, this one, this one, this one. So you see that, oh, okay. Now because I'm using a PyCharm, it has underlined it to differentiate it between this and itself. This is a very syntax error that we often commit. So you correct it and it has changed back to normal as the others. So you run it, you don't get anything, any error. There's this one which is the exception error or the runtime error. The runtime error. Let's say that you define a variable age equals to say 20. Then when you are done, you come and say that age times fruit. So total equals to age multiplied by fruit. Print. Let's run this one. Hi, let's go run it. Let's run it. No. Okay. So let's say you have a string. You have a string and you want to multiply the age times the string. Let me see. This should not run. It should give us an error. Why? No, ABC. Let me use this one. This is even an error.
I guess because of
Yes, but it's an error. It's an error. That is not what you expect you want from the code. Good. You are adding 20 to this. This is not what we are expecting from. It's going to give you a runtime error. So if you are using a language like C or C++, you hear this thing bang the sound telling you, oh, there's a runtime error. You go and check. It's telling you we are multiplying int with a string. It is not done. A string plus an int. No. It cannot be done. Now the other one is the very simple one. Is the logical error. Now the logical error, excuse me. What happens is that when you are talking with someone, you're having a conversation, and then you say something, and the person says, "No, this is not logical," or "This answer is not." It doesn't mean that it is not an answer. It's an answer, but that is not the answer to the situation at hand. Someone slaps you, then you take a knife, choke him. You say, oh, no, this is not logical at all. You want to do a calculation and say that A equals to 32, B is equal to 4. Now, this is what you want to do. Our total is equal to A. Let me use very business term. Let me say that item bought. Okay, price is $30. And then the quantity is 5, and you want the total price. You want the total price, and under normal circumstances, to get your total price, what you do is that you multiply the price with the quantity. So instead of doing a multiplication, you came to do price plus quantity. Now, this system will never generate an error. It will never generate an error, but that is not the answer you want. Okay, let me do away with this thing. Alright, let me also do away with this one. You see the answer it is giving, so let me put it in a very nice way. The total amount, say the total price is so the total price is this $34. If you go and write such a program for someone, it means you are killing the person, you are destroying the person's business, you collapse it. So this one is a logical error. It is not sorry, it is not the exact answer that you want. No, not at all. But Python will print this one for you as the answer. It will not bring any error. Please, are you good to go? Okay, silence means consent. So these are these 3 errors. You should take a very critical look at it. It happens. It will always happen. Now, let's say that you are coding, you are writing a code, and what you want to print it in a new line, or sorry, on a new line. Let's say print C++, Python, and then PHP, my SQL. You are printing this thing, this document. Let's run it and see how it is coming. Now let's copy the same code. In C, we used to, I'm sure it's in other codes, and run it and see. What happens is that this is our original code. Now we are asking it to print the C++ on a different line and print the rest of the code on a different line. So you have the PHP, a Python on a different line with PHP and MySQL. You can add this one to it. Sorry. Let me remove this one and run it. So you get our output as this. Now look at this, is the original output. But when you applied the new line to it, this is how you are getting it. So you use the \n for a new line. I may want a tab. So instead of the new line, I use T. Now let me use it here so that you can see it all. And run it. You see the difference. Where is it? So the this one is running, it's taking a space. When you are typing and you press your tab key, it gives some kind of allowances or white spaces. It leaves some white spaces. So if you realize, instead of the PHP to go the next line, it rather give a tab. Let me do it with a tab and write it this way. It comes back to its normal place. You can put the tab anywhere you want to. Let me say I want this one to start after a white space. So I write welcome to the day 2 of the Python lesson. Let me copy the same thing. As a lazy programmer, I don't just copy and paste. So now let's look at the difference. Because I use the tab, when it gets here, see that it has given a white space. It left the white space here and then moved to this place. But this one, I didn't use a tab. So if you see, you look at this place, there's no tab. So it's beginning from here. So let me put here again, here, run. So this is what we'll be getting. This is what we'll be getting. So tab, print normal without a white space, another white space, without a white space, just like that. So this is dealing with using the new line or using the tab. Now there is, let's say I have a variable name my best language equals to Python. It happens every time. And then this is the variable name Python. Look at this space. Now to see it clear, let me print this one. My best language is so what is there? So look, let's run this code and see. Now there is a double space over here. You have this space over here. So when it's running the code, sorry, excuse me, it also left the space over here. Let me increase it widely so that you can see and run it. It is doing the same thing. Now it happens, it can happen, but there's a way to do away with this such things. You use what we call the outstrip, which is to remove every space from the right. If the space is the other side, then you use the let. So let's run it and see. So it has removed. Let's give a sorry, I didn't give a space for it. So it has removed the space, the initial space that we used to have. Let me print the previous one so that you see it very well. Without the outstrip. So this is the original message, and this is the corrected one. So you see that this one has corrected this one. So you use the outstrip to do it. Assuming it is here, let me run it and see. So this is what you are getting. Now we corrected the outstrip, which is from the right. So how do we correct this one? Let's lazy programmer copy and paste, and instead of R, use the L. Run it. Good. So this one has also removed the L from it. So everyone is doing his own. Over here, this one, the outstrip, remove the R. Use the R to remove its space. Over here, no one did anything. It came as it came. This one has done his. So you use the outstrip or the L strip to do away with such things. Anyone has a question? Any question, you put it. Someone talking.
For me, I'm one of the ones.
Okay. Maybe we should proceed on. All right. So now let me go on. Now today we intend. Let me say we are going to look at list in Python. Now in Python, when you talk of list, a list is just a collection of items. A collection of items in a particular order. So you have a list. you keep or paste items in those lists. It can be numbers, it can be letters from A to Z, numbers 1 0 to 9. It could be names of people, cities, anyhow. It could be food, names of food, anything. So in Python, if you want to define a list, you give it a name. So let's say that you are a website developer or you are a web administrator. You want to know the number of your users on your system. So you are creating a list for all your users. You can just create a list for them, put it this way, and then put all the users over here. So if you are entering names, it's a string. So you bring your quotation, whatever. So let's say Amma, then give a comma, John, whatever. Then you can print the list. Say users, print, and it's going to print you. So now Ghana is going for an election. You want to print the list of you work at the EC and they ask you to compile all the list of presidential candidates. So candidates, any meaningful name. So you say JM, Nana, uh, Rawlings, Ayariga, Pakwesi, who again? Ivan Green Street. So you have this list. These are the list of presidential candidates. Then you can, or let's say they are to transmit electronically or to forecast, not to forecast, to telecast or broadcast the results online. So you want to create a list and use them. Then you can assign votes to them as per each constituency or region. So you have presidential candidates. So you can print and say, the following are the list of presidential candidates for the election 2020. Then you can print our list over here. I don't want to waste time. Copy, come and paste here. Run it. So this thing, let me uncomment. Let me comment these ones. So you have your list over here, and you can do anything with your list. Anything at all that you want to do with it, you can do with it. So this is how you define a list. You define it. You can even decide to define an empty list. This is not an empty list. So parliamentary candidates. Then you print this one over here. Maybe you are creating it down so that when it's ready, the people will just enter it into the system. So you print and then let's run it and see. So you see that this one is not giving us anything because it's an empty list. I hope you understand. This is an empty list. This is not an empty list. So we've created a list of presidential candidates and then a list of parliamentary candidates, but then their list is empty. Omfadi name by into your train, so it's empty. As and when they bring it, it will be entered. Now there are so many things that we can do with the list. So some of them include, let's say, we can add an element to the list. We can delete an element from the list. We can even access it. And so there are ways of doing that. Now, let's say that you have presidential candidate JM Nana Rawlings Ayaga Indum Greenstreet. Sorry. So you are there, you are there, and it brought another list or another name that this person has just filled his form. You need to add that name to the list. Please give me a name. Give me a name to add. A name to add as a presidential candidate. One be in the constituency of Ghana. Who is contesting? No. Good. So how do we do? We have a method called append or insert. So append and insert. So how do we do it? You choose any of the methods, but each of them has its own effect or how it works. To use the append, let's just demonstrate it. Now, we were there and they said, oh, Ekadonko, add Ekadonko. So you go you remember the name of the list. So you go and carry your list, open it, and then you tell it to append who? Ekadonko. Ekadonko. Is that the spelling? Sorry. It has. So when you finish, then say copy and paste. Lazy programmer. Updated list. So let's see what happens. Where is Ekadonko? Can you see Ekadonko over here? Ekadonko has been added to the list. Do you have any question? And note where Ekadonko was added. It wasn't added. She wasn't added to the middle, the beginning, but added somewhere. Can you see that? Do you have? Does anyone have a question to ask? Should I go on? Now, when you use append will always append to the last end of your list. Ekadonko will always add to the last end. If you are to add one biome, this is my good friend Marek. Marek is my good friend. You have to add Marek. Kofi Gan. Kofi Gan will also be added to the last end of our list. So you have Kofi Gan. Yeah, Marek is my good friend. He's good. He's contesting as an independent candidate. Minya campaign no. So we have Kofi Gan over here, Ekadonko over here. So each time you append, you are adding to the last end of the list. But let's say that you don't want to add it. You want to add it somewhere in the middle. We have how many elements? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 elements. When you are dealing with a list, the first letter, it's always one off. The first one is 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not 8. So, and I remembered, oh, okay, Asamaja want to contest. So this is what is going to happen. I don't.
Sarkodie want to compare as well.
Sarkodie. Okay. So now,
Let me check this thing. Please can I share the link
sure.
inside our
Yes. So in that case, we can't use the append. We use the insert. And then when you use the insert, anytime you use the insert, you should be able to tell Python that I want you to insert at this particular location or at this particular position. So we want to insert it. If you want the first position, you use 0. And then the name, Asamoah. Asamoah Gyan. And let's see what happens. Run it. If I made a mistake, I think it's, let me see. Sorry. See. Yeah, that's it's correct, but all right. So now Asamoah Gyan is now here. Instead of insert, I wrote insert without a T. So now Asamoah Gyan will be on the first position. Will be in the first position over here. So that is the difference between the insert and then the append. The append will always append to, it will always add to the end of the list. But if you want to insert in a particular position, you use the insert method. And you should also know where you want to insert it. So 0, I want to insert it 0. It means that, as I said, it is always one of, you don't start from 1 to say 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It is 9. You have 9 items over here. When you want to access any of these items, you don't start with 1, you start with 0. So you start with 0, you know it is one off. So instead of 9, it will be 8. So if you want it here, you use 0. If you want it, let's say over here, let me comment this one. And run it. Now if you want Asamoah Gyan to come immediately after Cornelius Rawlings, then you know that 0, 1, 2, 3. So you want him to be here on the third position. So when you come here, instead of 0, you write 3. And then let's run it. See that this is Asamoah Gyan over here. So over here we used the insert and append. So this is where we use the append. And then we came to use the insert over here. Okay. King Faud says we should. Okay, 1 hour. Alright. So that's it. I hope we are clear, we are good to go. Can we move on? Alright. So you should always, it's good to know the position you want to insert it so that you can always use it. Now let's say that I have my my list, and then I want to find out what is there. I want to print what I have in that position. What we use is that we use an index. So you enter the name of a variable is called presidential candidate, first candidate. Now if I print it this way, like this, it's printing almost everything, but I don't want it. Let me do away with all these ones. I don't want it. I only want the second element in the list, or the first element, or the third. Now to access it, we use the index of the list. If I use 0, I told you it starts from 0, it's going to print JM. If I use 3, it's going to print Ayaga 0, 1, 2, 3. I can use -1. If I use -1, it's going to start from the negative side. So instead of starting from here, it starts from here, and we print Green Street. If I use -3, it's printing Ayaga. So lazy programmer. So -1, -2, -3. So we are getting from this side, it's down counting from the back. So it's like you have a container, you put all the things inside. So you pick from the top. It is now last in, first out, what we call LIFO. So last in, first out. Last in, first out. So that is how it's going to do it. Green Street, Indium, Ayariga, all the way to JM. If I don't want it that way, now let's say that I want to access from JM to only Ayariga. We use, that 0 is the first one, so you bring your 0 and then the column 0, 1, 2, 3. You put the 3 here. Let's run it. So this one is going to print from 0, 1, 2. Remember, it's always one off, so it's taking us to the third position, not 1, 2, 3. So you have JM, Nana, and Rollins. If we want, say, from Nana, it is 1, 2, only those one, run it. So it picks 0, 1, 2. It's one off. So the 1 is Nana, 2 is Rollins, 1 off. So if you want Ayariga, you put the 4 here. So that you don't make any mistake. I hope we are good to go. Okay, no question. So we'll proceed on. Oh, excuse me. So this is how we can access our list. We'll come to how to use a for loop to access each of them one by one, to print them one by one too. Now let's say that we want to change JM as the presidential candidate. We want to change him for whatever reasons, he says, oh, no, he's not contesting again. No crowd bread. Can I from one way do? Excuse me. To change him, this is we can use sorry, excuse me. We type our presidential candidate here. And you know the index is 0. Then we tell it NDC can handle my man. My man. Is it meaning say quite crap. Bagbin. So now let's see what happens. So now we replace John Mahama with Bagbin. Sorry. So we can, to make it very readable to the people, we can say we are replacing the candidate what's the name? It's 0. So you are replacing the candidate GM. So what are you bringing? You are bringing Bagbin. GM Abre. Ebia na papa no. Ebia na papa no. Papa no Abre. So it is going to replace this GM with Bagbin. I hope we understand. So if you know, all that you need is the index, enter, that's it. Now we've looked at how to insert to it, and then how to append using the insert and append methods. Now if I want to say that I want to remove an element, any of these candidates, let me delete this thing so that the code doesn't make plaintive. There are two methods that you can use. You have the delete or you have the pop. You should know when to use your delete and when to use your pop. If you use delete, you delete the name, it will delete permanently. If you use a pop, it doesn't do so. Now let's say that you are a system administrator, or let's still go with this one. These are the registered, official or original registered candidates for the 2020 elections. These are the original ones. And then you were there and they said that, oh, you should remove Green Street from it. Now for the purpose of record, you want to keep the original list and then keep the updated one. When you use delete will delete it from the list. And then when you go and take the original list, you never find delete. Let's demonstrate it and see. So to use the delete function, you enter the keyword delete, then the name of your list. Now the position, it's 0 1 2 3 4 5, so 5. Let's run it. Nothing is showing. Now let's print this. Let's print out. Oh no, we want the entire list. So now you see that when you take you take the original again, you don't see the green street. It has taken it away. It has deleted it complete. And so you must always avoid this. Let's say you are a website administrator. You've created your website, or you've developed your web application. You have users. Now you want to create active users. You realize some of the users are inactive. So now these are, let's say, active users. These are the active users. Or let's say, no, these are users. Yes, these are all the users you have on your system. Now you realize that some people are inactive. So what you want to do is that you want to keep another list. So you create inactive users. And you are deriving your inactive users from the list of the users you already have. So how do we do it? Do we use the the delete? You delete, you never get the total list of your users. So what you do is that you know that Green Street is a user but is inactive. So what you do is you use the pop method. The pop method, so user dot pop method. If I print this thing out, users, let me say inactive user, you see that Green Street has been added to the list of inactive users. Now let me print this list out again. And see what happens. Users Green Street, it has popped this one out, but it should not delete. But always what happens is pop always deletes from the last end. It doesn't delete from this one. So okay, good. So now you have users, we have inactive users. What happens is that Python goes to our users, remove this one, pop. When those that did stacks, it will go and pop this one from the list. Then it come and save it over here. You can decide to create an empty list over here and say, oh, okay, this active user, sorry, use this list is going to be empty. Whatever you pop from this list, you can come and keep it here by using the append here. So inactive user will be equals to dot, oh sorry, no, active user equals to append what, my code is working, but I believe I'm doing something wrong. This is an empty list. I believe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I believe I'm doing something wrong. I believe I'm doing something wrong. Anyway, let me leave it that way. We'll get back to it. So what we are saying is that the pop will always delete from the, it will pop from here, it will take from here, but it doesn't delete permanently, unlike the delete unlike the delete does. If let's say that we know the value of what we want to delete or we want to remove from the list, you don't use pop, you don't use delete, you just come and use the word remove. Remove, you use the remove method. So users, let's remove. Then I know I want to remove JM. What is wrong? What is wrong? How is this? How am I getting this red line? So I use the word JM to remove because I know the value, which is JM. If I want to remove Rollins, so if I want to remove Ayariga, so use the word remove if you know the name of the value. If you want to, you don't know the index, but you know the value, you use the word remove. I believe I've done something wrong somewhere. So indium is removed. So this one you are removing from any position. So if you check the list, you don't have green street either. Over here. Why is my headache affecting me? Now let's go on. This thing, all these lists are not in alphabetical order. You want to print it out, but you want to print it out alphabetically. I think that is how the EC does it. So we use a method called sort. So users dot sort. You use this method and it's going to sort them alphabetically. So let's see what happened. Print users and let's run it. So you see that it's starting with Ayariga, Green Street, JM, Nana, Indum, Rollins. If you want to get it in the opposite direction, instead of from A to Z, you start from Z to in the opposite direction. What you do is that you use the sort and then put reverse equals to make it true. That is simple. Now see how it's starting. It starts from R, N, and J, green. I said green. The video G and the A. So this is how you would want to do it. If you want to get it in the reverse way, fine. If you want to get it in alphabetical order, then just you enter let's say you program for a supermarket, they're operating, and you want to produce all the list of the customers in an alphabetical order. You use the sort that's going to do it, or you use reverse, or you have another one called sorted. You can use it and you get it the same way. You have list of customers, so many, plenty. You can't count them. It will take maybe days if you want to count them. We have over millions of customers. Let's say you're operating Amazon or Best Buy or whatever. I have all these customers. How do you print and then start counting them? No, you have a way of doing it in Python, just using the length, the len, then you put the name of your variable users. So you can say that print, the number of candidates. We are talking of users, so the number of users are, so you can use then you bring your variable name as users 6. I hope you understand. Now we have this list. It looks like today I'm going fast. You have this list and then you want to print each of them one by one. What we do is that we use what we call the for loop. We'll get to the for loop when we get back to the conditional statement. So but in a simple way, this is how it's going to be for let's say a user in the users list. So print user. This is how it's just going to be. You are telling it that for a user who is in that list, should just give us the name of that user or tell us do something with that list. So you use the for loop, and then you write for user in users, then you bring your column. Now this in is a keyword. You don't use it as a variable name. It will generate error. Now this user, you can name it anyhow you want. You can say that for candidate in. So what they are saying that you have a list called users and you have candidates in it. So for a candidate who is in this list called users, do this thing for me. So I want to say welcome. So I print welcome. Candidate. What is going to happen is that it is going to welcome each of them one after the other. So let's say you are an MC for a function or a ceremony. You have the list. You put on JM. You mention the name, then you say welcome to the program. Then they clap for him. Nana, welcome to the program. They clap for him. Rollins, welcome to. So it's the same way. So let's see. It's going to call them one after the other. So you see, welcome JM, welcome Nana, welcome Rollins. So you and whatever you want to tell them. So you can say that to the program or the ceremony. So you see that it is tackling each of them one after the other, and it's dealing with them gradually. So this is how you do with your list. Let's say that you have a number. You can take numbers. Just as I told you from the beginning, that a list can be numbers 0 to 9, and then letters from A to Z. Let's take a numerical list. We have a function called range to do. So we can say that, oh, okay, let me create a range. Let's say for range, sorry, we can say for value or for number. In the range, which so for a number in the range of 6, 1 and 11. Yeah, using 11 because we want from 1 the number 11 will not come. It will go up to 10 and it will stop. So we tell it to print number. So let's make it readable. The number is the other time I told you, when you're working with string numbers, you can concatenate a number and you have, if to concatenate a number, you have to convert it. So you use number, and let's print it and see. Oh, sorry. So you need a space. So it starts from 1, then end exactly at 10 or on 10. It doesn't go beyond. If you want 11, then you make sure you make this one what, or how do you call it, 12. I added 2 over here because this is how I want my program to run. The first letter, it should be in a range of an interval of 2 or intervals of 2. So it goes 1, then the interval of 2 is what, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. If I want an interval of 3, you put over here from 1, then 3 plus 1 is 4, 7, 10. If you don't want it, it's not by force, it depends on what you want to do. So if I'm writing a program, I want to generate only odd numbers, you can utilize this one. If I don't want like that, I do it this way. I'm okay to go. I'm good to go. I want up to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very, very simple. We can use this range to make a list, and very often you appreciate these things when we come to machine learning. Let's see my numbers is equal to, then use the keyword list to tell it that, oh, it's a list. Then you put your range, then you tell it what range, from 1. If you want to generate a number, let's say from 1 to 1 million, you can put it here. Or let's see 200, the interval should be 5. So this one will generate a list for you, and when you print it, it is going to come in the form of a list. So you see that numbers will be a list for you. It's not going to, yes. So we have a list this way. Oh, 1000. I thought it's 100 though. Chai. Yes. So we are saying it should add it. It should generate a list with an interval of this 5, 5, 5, 5. And see, that's how it's going to be. If you want it to start, that is 0. So you start from 0, then 5, 10, 15, like that. So anyhow you want it, it's your code that you are writing. You know what you want. You don't let the program dictate to you. You tell the system what you want it to. When you're writing the code, your system is like your servant. Tell it, do it this way. This is how I want it to be, and it must do it that way for you. The last topic I would want to cover is called slicing. The slicing is all about when when you are doing machine learning, or let me go with machine learning. You have a list. You want to divide your list. You use part of your list as your training data, and then use part as your test data. So you can decide to say, okay, from here to here, from here to here should be for my training data. Now we will take this one. We utilize these are numbers. This list that we generated. So we have numbers here. We want to use part of it as our training data, and then part of it as our test data. You don't understand. You won't understand, or you may not understand the test and the training data. But when you get to artificial intelligence or machine learning, you would appreciate those things a lot. So what will happen is that, okay, I said my training or training data is equal to, you should take these numbers and then give me from 0 up to let's say 10, the 10 position. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19. So, and then our test data, remember that we are taking the number from this one. That is where we are from these numbers. You are taking your sample from this one. That is where we are doing it that way. So I come and say, oh, okay, 11 to, I don't put anything over here. Let me not put anything over here and see. Let's print our train data and print our test data and see. Okay, let me make it more. Print the train data as a lazy programmer. Let me just copy it and put it here and say test data. You see that train data start from 0 and ends at 45. The test data starts at here, it is 55. So this one 45, and then it took, okay, we left this one out, so it should be 10. Okay, good. Now the reason why I put nothing over here and nothing over here is that if you put nothing over here, Python automatically knows that, okay, you are starting from the 0. So it starts from the 0 for you, whether you put it there or not. If you don't put anything here, it knows that you want to pick to the last number. So what it does is that it goes go and pick from the last number. It pick from where this one ends, then So you have two separate lists for you. You've generated your own numbers within the range of this 5, the range of 0 to 100, the interval of 555. You split your data into two, your train data and your test data. So this is what we use splicing for. That's a splice. No, splicing, we use splicing in fiber optics. This is slicing. Slicing. Not splice. Any question? Any question? Any question? Either and that we will be done, and not we will be done. We are done for the day.